All right, next part. I have it listed as part 5. I don't know if I'm on part 5 or part 105 at this point. So let's say you've got things started, you're ready to go. Now we got to talk about equipment. Okay? Find a source for targets. I'm going to put in the footnotes below this sources that I know for targets. I'm probably only going to put down sources, except for the European vendor. I'm going to put down sources that I've actually used. There are three sources in the United States. I'll put those down. I've used all 3. They're all awesome. I've never had a problem. There may be a source for targets of different sizes that you might not be able to get the targets from one guy that you can get from another guy. So, that's all part of your research. You have to figure that out. You need to do the research. You need to know the rules that you're operating under as far as the size of targets. I know that there is a sanctioning body for international handguns. Some of that is shot offhand. Some of that is shot in like a lying down position of some sort. I don't know. I don't shoot it, so I'm really not familiar with how it works. But I know that they do shoot on targets that have a different scale sometimes, depending on what caliber they're shooting, and they have a different thickness. So, do your research, know what you're going to purchase, for what purpose you're going to purchase it for. Make sure it's the right thing for the rules that you're operating under. I'm going to try not to sneeze. And of course, I did have to sneeze. Good targets are not cheap. It's going to be something that you have to spend money on. It's an investment. You could spend quite a bit of money on them, and I'm not going to be BSing you that they're cheap. They're not. But if you have good targets, quality made targets that are the right target for the right type of shooting you're going to do, and they're not abused, you only have to buy them once, and they're going to last a long time. Again, you're not going to want to shoot them too close, the wrong distances. That'll wreck the targets. You're not going to shoot them with the wrong caliber. That'll wreck the targets. All right, after targets, next part of equipment, racks. Target racks, the place where the target's going to sit on. That's what I call, when I'm talking about a target rack. It could be a target stand, a target stake. There's a million different ways to do it. Good target racks, a good place to put the target. They need to be stable. And this is a problem that I ran into a lot with my program here on the small bore targets, is a target stand that's movable, but yet is stable. Now, having a target stand that is stable, and if you inevitably, you're always going to accidentally, or you're always going to have a shot go low, and you're going to hit that target stand. And you got to have a stand that if you ring that target stand, it doesn't cause a whole bunch of incidental targets to fall down for no apparent reason. You didn't hit them, you hit the target stand and everything vibrated and bounced off. And I had that problem. And we went to the little target stakes. I'll put a little picture of that in there for the small bore targets. Just specifically because we would hit target 1 and target 3 would fall down, or sometimes you'll see places where they have a little divider in between target 1, target 2, target 3, to keep, especially chickens. Chickens fly all over the place, the little steel chickens. Real chickens fly all over the place too. But the steel chickens, you can cause all kinds of incidental knockdown contact. So that's one of those things you have to think about. Again, if you go onto the Facebook group, we have more than one thread of different target bank setups, different range setups, all kinds of great ideas. Backstops if possible. Now the backstop berms that we made, we only made them last year because, you know, incrementally increasing the quality of our venue, basically. Now, if you have backstops, it solves two purposes. One, the obvious part, it stops the round after it hits the animal or when it doesn't hit the animal. The second is really important, and that is spotter visibility. It helps the spotter tremendously to be able to see that splash on the sand behind a target to figure out where the miss was. And then they're going to be able to guide you into the next target. Because remember, this is generally a two-person sport, shooter, spotter. You're shooting, spotter's giving you input on a spotter board or verbally to try to help you connect with more targets. If you can do it, a covered firing line. Where I shoot, real lucky, we have a nice covered firing line with a nice concrete floor. It's perfect, basically. Not every place has that, but it helps, especially when it's hot out, especially if it's raining. You know, it's an all-weather sport. If it rains, you're still going to shoot. So a covered firing line, if possible, is nice. Bathrooms, again, I'm going to keep coming back to the bathroom. If you can get bathrooms, real bathrooms, bathrooms. Not every place has those. A lot of places don't. I have been to national championships where not only, you know, okay, if you have hundreds of people, you're going to need some porta potties. Yes, that's just life. But I mean, I've been to places where they're holding a really big match and the only thing they have is porta potties, and then nasty porta potties. Again, nothing says, ooh, and you know, I'm a guy who works on a farm. You know, I mean, I'm literally shoveling crap every morning. So, you know, and all my life I've worked in garages, worked in railroad yards. I mean, so for me to get grossed out in a bathroom, it's going to be pretty bad. Let's see. Summertime. Actually, almost any time that you want to be out shooting. Water. Some other kind of food, maybe, if you can get it. Or if you can get, the best part is get everybody to bring some food. That's the best way to do it. Maybe some kind of a cooling fan. Tables and benches if it's possible, so you have a place to put your equipment. Get everything ready, because you always, when you go to a silhouette match, everybody's got equipment everywhere. They've got different things. They've got rifles, they've got spotting scopes, they've got their boxes with their ammo in it, you know, different clothing, you know, because you're going to have different clothing depending on the weather. The weather changes during the day, you're taking clothes off, putting clothes on, anything you can have like that. Now, one thing that's critical even starting out is rifle racks, a place to store the rifle in between match rounds when people are going down range. Now, all clubs, all venues do this a little bit different. At our range, we have a rule where everything has to be up off the line, back in a rack before anybody goes forward. It's just the way it is. It's safety. If everything's off the rack and down away from it, you know, nobody's handling anything because we know it's away from the line. You're going to need enough rifle racks to accommodate everybody. You may have one guy, you may have one nut like me who shoots, you know, 4 classes with 3 rifles, you know, so I need a spot for 3 rifles. It doesn't mean I'm shooting them all at the same time. It means I'm parking them there so I can quickly transition from lever action over to air rifle over to small bore hunter if I want, you know. So my rifles are all out there. I'm taking up 3 spaces. Have a well thought out firing line. where it's easy for the person who's calling the line to be able to see down that line and be able to see that everybody has their rifles off the line, or everybody has their open bolt indicators in, and everybody knows, you can visually see straight down the line, either the person who's calling the line or the line safety officers or whoever it is, can easily see what's going on. Try not to have obstructed views. If that means taking all the, a bigger match and, taking all the shooting benches that are normally there and putting them in the parking lot, that might be what you have to do. Target setters, most monthly matches, the people who shoot are the target setters. A bigger match, you may have some, scouts, 4-H, church group kids or whatever. They're going to have somebody who's in charge of that group, and they're going to tell them when to go out, when to not go out. They're going to be in contact with the person who's running the range. Depending on what type of silhouette shooting, it might be a good idea to have a golf cart or something if you're going way down range to reset targets and come back. It might speed things up, a little less downtime. Again, that's not necessary, but it's nice. Again, if you're possible to put an area for spectators behind the line. They got to be quite a bit behind the line, because you don't want the chit chat to interfere with people who are shooting. That's one of the things, that happens almost everywhere, but it's one of those things we as match directors really have to think about and work out, is to keep the chit chat to a minimum up at the firing line, unless you're talking about, shooter spot or talking about where they're hitting things. Other than that, you got to get people off the damn line, because it gets noisy. I am guilty of not kicking people off the line because I'm trying to be nice, and I probably don't need to be that nice. But just, a place behind the line where you can set up your easy up tent, where the family can be back there talking in lawn chairs and having a good time and eating a hamburger, and they're comfortable and they've got stuff to do, and they're not, completely uncomfortable. Well, the shooting member of the family is up there shooting. And all this should be back from the line, but not too far of a walk from the line, so you're not stressing people out with long walks. This, all this type of thing turns, a basic match into more of an event. Again, you are keeping customers happy. You're thinking like you're an amusement park, where you're bringing people back every month. Happy people come back every month. Happy people bring their family. Happy people get their kids shooting silhouette, and we get more people shooting. They get their wife shooting silhouette. The wife gets the husband shooting silhouette. And that's a huge thing for the sport. And that's enough to cover for one afternoon. I hope all this helps. You may have to, I realize you have to go back and you're going to have to watch this video a couple of times and sit through all my blah, blah, blah. But I hope you get some good information, and we can generate more discussion. We can always talk about it more on the forums, on the Facebook, Metallic Silhouette Shooters Society. Join. You have to answer some simple questions. If you can't answer those questions, then you don't know, and you should be able to figure it out. And we'll see you next time on the Silhouette Show. That's it. Go practice.